kind of industries that are opening up.
This is Local Biz Now with Joe Vagnone, where your business matters. Local Biz Now.
You have to determine what is working, what isn't working.
Joe Vagnone is a respected business broker, helping individuals buy and sell businesses. Joe has successfully owned and operated many companies in a variety of industries. This is Local Biz Now. Biz Now, because your business matters.
Yeah. You are listening to the #1 live talk business show in North Carolina, coming to you from Burner Cigar Studio, home of exceptional people and premium cigars. Life is Good is Burner Cigars, located in Brookdale Village and in Denver on Highway 16. Again, I am Joe Vagnone. This is Local Biz Now, where we hope to inspire, inform, and entertain you, because that's what we do here at News Talk WSIC, 105.9 FM, 100.7 FM, 1400 AM, where your business matters. We've got an exceptional show for you today. I have been looking forward to this guest for a long time, and Solo, you coming along for the ride. Are you ready for this?
Listen, I'll take my blessings however they come.
That voice you should recognize. That is Solonia Wade-Baskins. She's the co-owner of Progressive Business and Finance. I nicknamed her Solo, so it's sticking.
It's sticking.
It's sticking.
It's sticking.
Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
So remind everybody what Progressive Business and Finance is all about.
So we are your alternative, non-traditional financial consultant that help business owners come together with private lenders. So we are outside of the banks. We are private, non-traditional, alternative, and we help you come about that financial strategy, that financial loan, or just helping you build your business and grow your business, advance.
And so you all over the place. You know, I was talking with Bill Russell the other day. He heard our show last week, and he said, "You got Solonia on." And I said, "How do you know her?"
Yes.
But I think I met you through him. Did I not? Is that how that happened?
You met me through being on his show.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So we are very deep. We deep dive into the community. So we are very.
He said you were ambassadors of the chamber.
We are ambassadors, Lake Norman ambassadors of the chamber.
He was speaking highly. He acted like he was your friend.
No.
And I said, no.
That is my friend, Joe. You.
No. You got to choose between me and Bill Russell. You understand that?
Listen, Joe.
Speaking of choosing, how's Sammy doing?
Sammy is good. He's good. You picked on him so much he won't come back. So I don't know.
Progressive Business Finance is one of the, I try and describe what you guys do, but it really is holistic for small business people, because you won't just try and get them money. You also say, maybe you shouldn't get money, right? You know what I mean? Or
Absolutely.
This is how you need to go about getting money.
Absolutely. We do not want them to get into more debt. We do not want them to transfer debt from one place to the other. So we are really and truly in the business of helping them to grow. And sometimes that takes patience. That takes responsibility. It takes planning. It takes strategy. And we want to do all of that. So people want it the microwave way, and that's just give me the money and give me the loan. But sometimes that could be more hurtful than good. So we want to talk to them and accommodate them however they need it.
And everybody's hear me picking on Sammy. Sammy is your husband. He also is the co-owner and founder of the business. And he's the money guy. Like he's the guy we gotta go. He's got to knock on the door and try and find the money.
Listen, he's the mastermind behind the whole Progressive Business and Finance. It is him, right? I have to kind of stroke his ego. That's his ego. That's my husband. So I have to. But he is truly the mastermind. He is the one who puts it all together.
So, and he was on the show a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, you ran him off, Joe.
I did. I picked on him.
You picked on him real bad.
I picked him too much.
I know.
He handled it well. He handled himself well, though.
Do you feel bad about it?
Not really. Not really. I mean, I've been doing this show for 12 years. It's live, and believe me, I've got my share of come up, and so you understand. Matter of fact, the owner of this radio station only keeps me around because he knows that people enjoy picking on me, and he calls that good radio.
Good radio.
So disagreeing with me and picking on me is good radio. So Sammy gave me a chance to give it back because he's so quiet and respectful. He didn't.
He's so
He didn't want
quiet.
to say anything bad about me.
And he kept looking at me, and you kept saying, "Don't look at her."
He wanted you to save him, and you wouldn't do it.
No. He's a big boy. He can handle it.
So you've been a co-host for some time now.
I know. It's bittersweet. Next week is my last week.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to miss you guys.
So you're supposed to bring something that we're going to talk about every week.
Yes.
But this week I told you don't do it.
Yes.
Because I wanted to give more time to our guest that's coming up, right?
Oh, yeah. Yes, absolutely.
So what are we going to talk about next week?
Oh, next week. We're going to talk about the myths and misconceptions that business owners have over borrowing money. Sometimes we come across business owners, they're so frightened to borrow money. But some of the richest, the billionaires, the trillionaires, they have a lot of debt, right? And we want people to understand that if you use your money wisely and responsibly, it could get you really far. It can excel and just propel your business to new depths and higher levels, and it's amazing. But you have to be responsible with it and have a plan. So if you don't have a plan, you are going nowhere, but have a plan.
And that's what I want people to hear. So you're just not lenders, right? I mean, you really are advisors to people. And one of the conversations we had a couple of weeks ago was about the different forms of insurance can really be exceptional investments.
Can really be exceptional investments. I mean, cash flow give you opportunities, right? If you don't have the cash flow, how are you going to dive deep into opportunities that come your way if you don't have it? And so cash flow presents that for you, but it has to be in a responsible manner. And so that's what we want to teach people, how to be responsible. Because listen, you don't want to get rich. You cannot get rich off of your own money, but you can get rich off of other people's money. So we want to teach business owners, our community, how to propel and get opportunities and cash flow and grow their business from other people's money, not their own.
And you are listening to an exceptional woman, Solonia Wade-Baskins, co-owner of Progressive Business and Finance. If you want to hear more of her and some of the stuff that she's done and hear how I picked on Sammy, you can go to Joe Vagnone, Business Broker on YouTube. Again, Joe Vagnone, Business Broker on YouTube. And all of these videos, we literally have 922 interviews that we have done over the years. 738 videos are on YouTube right now. And Solonia, I call her Solo.
Yes.
Has her videos on there as well. And I recommend you do that before you go and consider getting some type of financing. Or if you just kind of question what's the value for financing something, you guys can help them make that decision.
We can help them make that decision. And it would be great if anybody have any questions next week. I'm open to any questions they may have.
You got it. And you can ask us right now on Facebook as well.
You sure can.
We're going to be right back with a special guest. It's going to be spectacular.
I'm excited.
Become a super leader. I ain't got no chance of that happening.
You're already there,
You
Joe.
are listening to Local Biz Now, where your business matters. We'll be right back. Okay, Gary, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, so JoJo, we got about 2 minutes or so, and then we're going to come back live.
About 2.5. Hey, Gary, are you able to hear me?
Say what, Joe? Sorry.
didn't understand the question because you're having a hard time hearing me, I'll be happy to repeat it.
Okay. All right. I'm just trying to listen really well.
Good with the first segment.
Did he?
Got exactly 1 minute.
1
1
minute.
minute.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
He talking to me?
He was. Yes. Yes, he was.
Thank you, Solo. Whatever she said. Okay. We should have warned Gary that even during the break, Gary, we are live on Facebook and YouTube and all of that kind of stuff, even though it's commercial live on the radio. So if you want to make fun of Joe, the producer, now's a great time to do it.
Hey, well, 800 episodes, that's not bad. So. It's impressive.
You are listening to the #1 live talk business show in North Carolina, coming to you from Burner Cigar Studio, home of exceptional people and premium cigars, located at Brookdale Village and Denver on Highway 16. We hope to inspire, inform, and entertain you, because that's what we do here at News Talk WSIC, where your business matters. I'm here with my co-host, Solonia, Wade-Baskins. Solonia, Solo, thank you so much for being here.
As always, thank you for having me.
So we got an exceptional guest, and Solo, I need you to, keep it together now. I want the show to be respectful from here on out. You got it? And since I can't do that, you're going to have to carry the weight. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Gary's ready for you.
He's ready. Okay.
He's ready.
So I read a book, Become a Super Leader, 4 Essential Anchors for Mastering Influential Leadership. Gary Laney's book is just exceptional. I want to welcome Gary to the show. Gary, my friend, thank you so much for being here, buddy.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. It's nice to be here. We've been talking about this. It's nice to finally be here.
Yeah,
And,
we've been trying to do this for a while.
Say it again.
I said we've been trying to do this for a while.
Yeah. No, I'm really grateful to be here. Honored to be here on your show.
So before we dig into your book, you can tell by all of the notes at the top of your book. I've read your book, and there's some things I want to ask you about. Before we dig into that, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
How long have we had? I think I'm about.
Why don't you give us the short version of that?
Hey, so the nutshell version is I grew up in a family that was entrepreneurial. My dad never worked for anyone. My grandfather never worked for anyone. My great-grandfather never worked for anyone. Very entrepreneurial. My dad wanted to get an education, so I got an MBA from Northwestern and then went off into a career of high tech and commercial publishing. So high tech software. Did that for 20 years. Had a great time. And then when I was in 2005, I had a couple of boys at home, and my daughters were growing. And I just didn't feel like I wanted to be gone. I was a VP of sales, and you know what happens when you're a VP of sales, right?
No, you tell me.
You're never home. I mean, you're just never home. So, I mean,
Traveling.
you're at the beck and call of every salesperson that you have on the team. And I had a national team that was working to go worldwide, global. So it was time. It was time for me to break away, be home more often, and start venturing into my entrepreneurial roots. So for the last 20 years, that's what I've been doing. I've bought and sold Well, I bought, sold, and/or started 10 businesses and sold those. I've also been involved in many other businesses as a fractional VP of sales, as a board member, advisor, etc. So, and I've had a great time these last 20 years. It's been a wonderful experience. If you want to know how these books started, people always ask me, so why did you start writing books? Well, first of all, when you're a VP of sales, when you're entrenched in the business, the way I was, these different companies I worked for, you do not have time to write a book, let alone see your family. It was pretty, frustrating that way. So when COVID happened, all of a sudden everybody was home. Nobody was traveling. My daughter, my wife, and my granddaughter were all writing a book and encouraged me, since I had nothing to do for, I thought, about 3 to 6 months. It didn't turn out to be that way. I thought it would be over by 2020. I thought it'd be done by April, May, June, and we all know that didn't end, and it still hasn't ended. So I decided to write a book, and one of the topics I've been wanting to write for many years is about influence, business influence, and more specifically, strategic influence. It is not social media influence. It is not peer-to-peer influence. It's more strategic in the level of trying to develop a business and align yourself with the right kind of leaders out there that can help you further the cause. So that's what I've been doing for the last 20 years. And recently, since COVID, I've been writing books. I've written 2 bestsellers, had a great time at it. You read the book, Become a Super Leader. I'll get it, it's upside down. Here we go.
Yes.
But the predecessor to that, and they're connected. These 2 books are connected. Stephen Covey, remember Stephen Covey that wrote 7 Habits?
Yes.
So he wrote 7 Habits and became worldwide successful and well known because of Oprah and some other people that wanted to promote him. Well, he happened to be an advisor for a company I was working for. He was also a professor at the university I was going to. And so for 10 solid years, I got to become mentored by him, advised by him, trained and taught by him, and got to know his principles very, very well, and then went on to teach them for about 30 years. When COVID happened, I had the opportunity to say, okay, I've been teaching this stuff. I've turned them into my principles, because you have to take philosophy, turn it into something that's practical, and that's what the power of strategic influence is all about. So then the way the second book came out, just get this in the beginning, is there are 10 success factors in my first book. 10 success factors. Number 8 talks about how you identify and leverage your competitive competencies as a leader, as a business owner. And so I knew that a book had to be written about that number 8 success factor, because it's all about how you accentuate, how you expand your leadership, and how you become, if you want, a center of influence in the future, because you want to be able to help other people. So that's kind of the gist of book 1, book 2, and why I started doing that about 3 or 4 years ago.
So when I started reading the book, I absolutely thought this was going to be, when I saw the word influential, I thought, another social media, not interested, right? And I quickly realized what you were speaking of and what you were trying to say with that. And literally on page 10, you talk about this book taught me that once you have a good sense of yourself, including your motivations, and again, this is the book that you're talking about that your mentor wrote, potentially, then you will be more capable of fostering effective communication. And Stephen wrote that describing this book, and it sort of, let me see how to say this. That's what got me excited, because I've said for years, once you know yourself, you really can start to create communications that are genuine, because you know what somebody thinks of you. Like when I talk to Solo's husband, he knows I'm weird, right? So he gets it. So when we're communicating from a point of genuine nature, it's easier to connect, and we can influence each other. And I felt like that your book started with that statement, which sort of led me to believe this guy gets it. right? Like I could tell your life experiences were going to lead you in a direction that I was going to be able to comprehend. Talk about how you came to that conclusion, because you said in the book that your mentor kind of helped you with this. Get to know yourself first is sort of the if I can paraphrase, is sort of the core thing that a leader has to do. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, well, thank you, Joe. So, I guess I want to start by saying that after 40 plus years of being in business, I better know myself. If you don't, boy, what a crazy life you'd have if you didn't have any direction, no purpose, no passion. So here's the gist of it. Are you a fan of Vince Lombardi?
Oh yeah, big time.
Okay, so Vince Lombardi once upon a time said that men or people are not born as leaders, they are made. So you don't automatically become a leader. You don't automatically, find yourself. You have to have a lot of experience. You have to try to find out exactly what you're good at. So when I was writing my book and when I used to teach to my salespeople, I said, do you have purpose in what you're doing? Do you know why you're here? Because when things get tough, if you don't know why you're here, you're probably going to quit. So you have to have resolve from the beginning to have what I call a survival mindset. Survival mindset means no matter what life throws at me, I'm going to be able to handle it because I made a decision up front on what I want to do. I know my purpose. I know where I'm going. It might be difficult along the way, but I know who I am, just like you said.
So when I'm reading the book, it's not till about halfway through that I realize you say that leaders can be taught. They're not born. And I've always wondered, okay, how do you get there? How because reading your book, what's so exceptional about that book, and everybody that's listening, and I'm telling you, go get this book, become a super leader. And I mean leader in your personal life, leader in your family life, leader in your small business, leader if you're a mid-level person, because not only does he talk about what to do, how to do, he gives you detailed instructions on how to do it. It's exceptional. So Gary, walk me through how you can help somebody become a better leader. What is sort of the starting point for that to happen?
It's where we started. I call it PDF. So PDF means personal driving forces. I have 7 of them. Some people hope to get 1. What it means is, what are the motivations? What are the purposes? What are the passions that are going to drive me? What do I care about? What gets me excited about life? What gets me excited about the company I'm going to work for? I had a friend that I interviewed for my first book. His name is Gary Kennedy. He was the first president of Oracle. And during the interview, I asked him about leadership. What are the competencies? What do you think a leader, what it takes to become a leader? And why do you choose the opportunities that you choose? He's been very successful. And he told me, Gary the Gary, he said, that's an interesting question. He says, before I take a job, before I take a role as a board member or on a charitable board or the president of a company, whatever it might be, he says, I ask myself, why am I doing this? Okay, the money looks good, the organization looks good, but why am I doing it? Do I personally think that I can make an impact? Will I make a difference if I take this job, this role, whatever it might be? Thought that was really, really inspiring.
Gary, we got to take a break and we'll come back and we'll finish this up.
Okay.
You are listening to Local Biz Now. I am Joe Vagnon. We are speaking with the author, Gary Laney. He is the author of Become a Super Leader. You are listening to WSIC, where your business matters. We'll be right back. Are we? Because I didn't hear it on the... Okay. So Gary, we okay with where we're headed here?
Yeah, I'm things are fine.
Okay.
Things are fine. I listened to your pre-show. You guys have a good time on this show.
Yeah.
I like it. I like the spirit.
Well, I am pretty sure they keep me around here because I don't mind being kicked on and beat up. And so if I say anything that you disagree with, don't be afraid to disagree with me. The owner likes that. He calls that good radio. So don't think you have to agree with me.
No, you and I we're aligned. I'm not worried about that.
So what I'm trying to do is sort of go through the book and hit some of the statements that I just liked, and then you can take the conversation wherever you want to go with it.
Yeah, so the book is really organized in 4 anchors. So there's, mindset, character mindset, innovation, and relationships or influence. So that's really how it's broken down. And it's a book. If you read my first book, the very beginning of it talks about a guy that got lost on a venture on a ship that was taken because of a storm to an island where he didn't know anyone, and he had to figure out how to survive. And so that's how you have to learn, what it takes to survive, because when you have nothing, you just have your skill sets, then you'll learn really quickly just what you're made of.
Solo, you don't have to be quiet. You can ask a question.
I know.
You could just tell I got a lot of stuff to get to, don't you?
I know, and Gary is flowing so good. I'm just interested, so I'm just listening.
He could talk for 20
sucking up
minutes
the
on one question,
information, right? Yeah, I'm just letting it all.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Letting it all flow.
I'm sorry.
I don't want to interrupt it.
Gary, I didn't hear you before we went to the break. We were talking about getting you back for our small business event the first week in May. I didn't hear whether you had a conflict on that first week in May or not.
Yeah, I don't think so. No. I've got a speaking engagement later this week, and then I've got a conference in Salt Lake City in June. And I've got a couple of things in between, but I'm sure I could do it. So just send me the invitation.
I will. It's very similar to this. It's just in the evening. The audience is a little bit more, and it's a 2-hour show instead of a 1-hour show. So, I'd love to get you back on with something. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Same thing with the live radio and all the live social media and all that stuff.
So, Gary, what type of books did your wife and your daughter write? You said they were writing books, which encouraged you to write a book.
My granddaughter is the most prolific writer of all of us. She's written like 5 books. She's
Really?
22 years old. Wrote her first book when she was 15 or 16. And, she's not trying to be famous. She's just one busy person who likes to be doing things, and she's very smart. And so she wrote a book about her little brother, for example.
Oh.
And then she wrote a book about what kids can become. And she's just a great.
All right, we're getting ready to go back live.
My wife every year takes the challenge and writes 50,000 words and never publishes anything.
Really?
She just likes to do it.
Wow.
My daughter, who's not related to my granddaughter, I mean, she's her aunt.
Gary, we're getting ready to go live.
Mother. So she is related, excuse me. But she's writing fiction. I'm not a fiction writer. I'm a non-fiction writer.
We there? Yeah. You are listening to Local Biz Now. I am Joe Vagnone, where your business matters. We are having a spectacular time with Gary. Gary is the author of Become a Super Leader. Gary, my friend, thank you so much for being here. We really do appreciate it.
Hey, it's great to be here with you, Joe. I love the conversation. Let's keep going.
And for those of you, Solo is with me, Solonia, Wade-Baskins. Thank you so much for being here.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
So now you see why I'm excited about getting the man on the air, right?
I know, he's so interesting.
Okay. So she just couldn't help herself. Solo's asking him questions even during the break. Hold it in. We get time. We're gonna get to it. So I love that you like Benjamin Franklin. He's one of my favorite people in all of history. So whenever I see somebody quoting him, I'm thinking, I kind of connect with this person, right? So all through the book, you talk about Benjamin Franklin. You even go so far as to list his 13 virtues. Walk me through that, because
Sure.
There's plenty of people you could have chosen, but you chose Benjamin Franklin.
Well, so I'm going to tell you why I chose Benjamin Franklin, because I read his autobiography when I was 21 years old, and I learned about these 13 virtues. They inspired me so much that I wanted to do something like it, but in business. So I told you I was a sales leader, right, for years and years. How do you get people to transform, to become better at what they do, to master the skill sets of whatever their job might be? And I took the principal idea of Benjamin Franklin and said, okay, 13. Let's talk about why there's 13, by the way. Why do you think he chose 13 versus 10, which might be a more logical number, or 20, or I don't know. Why do you think 13?
Well, I read the book, so you told me it's because he was breaking it out for the 52 weeks. And so I found that interesting because I didn't know that. I read his biography. I really didn't know that's why he chose 13.
So here's what I give him credit for creating a perpetual self-mastery program. Perpetual. It's not like the beginning of the year and you make amends or you want to have, some goals which don't last more than a few weeks for most people. Resolutions don't work. But Benjamin Franklin said, he looked at himself and he said, what am I really bad at that I want to improve? So if you want to look at those characteristics, that's really what they were all about, is he felt like he had deficiencies. And he wanted to, over a lifetime, he made a commitment over a lifetime to practice these virtues one at a time, 1 week at a time. After 13 weeks, you've done one cycle. Then you go into cycle 2, and then 3 and 4, and in a year, it's a perfect number. 13 goes into 52 4 times exactly. So then at the end of the year, he makes some notes. He would try to improve his idea of what that really meant, see what his progress had been. Every few years, he would swap out a couple of these virtues, and then he would move on. So do you have any idea how long this guy lived? He was born in 1706. And guess how long back in the 1700s this guy lived to be?
You tell me. I forget. It was, I read it in your book somewhere, but he was over 80.
84 years old, back when people were living to be 35. The average, I think, life expectancy was in the 30s, mid-30s. He lived to be 84. And part of what he was trying to do is become a healthier, more well-rounded person, someone who could be trusted, both with men and women. I mean, he had vices, and that's what the virtues are about. Over a lifetime, people asked him, have you perfected these things? What do you think he said?
You tell me.
He said, not at all. He said, but I'm a much better and happier man because I tried to do so.
You know what? I like that point because in today's world, people like to work on the outside, but true work and improvement comes from the inside. You live longer, you're better with community, you're better at business, you're a better leader, you can pour into people more. It truly comes from the inside. But in today's world, so many people like to work on the outside and their inside is kind of deficient.
You could be a genius. Because in Gary's book, in Gary's book, Benjamin Franklin had a quote. And the quote is,
always true.
While we may not be able to control all that happens to us, we can control what happens inside of us.
Exactly.
And so all of this, Gary, because, you're a detailed guy and, you got mountains of data on why. But the truth is, it's about constantly trying to improve yourself on a daily basis. That's really the sort of the foundation of this basis. Did we just lose him, JoJo? I'm sure we'll pick him back up again. So that gives me just enough time to say that Solo is a genius.
Yes. You know what I like the other part about his book is that you can run, you could do all types of things, but you're always stuck with yourself. So you need to work on yourself. You can move to a new town, you can sell a business, start another business, you can get married again, have more children, but you always have yourself.
I'm always Joe.
You always have yourself. So that proves a good point. There you go.
Okay, JoJo, you dropped my best guest of the year. Okay. He probably doesn't know that he's dropped right about now. You understand that, don't you? Julie's got on Facebook that you're a genius. So So
Julie.
she's right. You're a genius.
I love you. Listen.
I mean, when you start agreeing with Ben Franklin, you on to something.
I did not know one of your most favorite people have been Franklin. I did not know that. Learn something new about you every time, Joe. Every time.
I believe Ben Franklin was the first person to create and define a franchise with his printing businesses.
Really?
I find him to be an extraordinary man. I really do.
Oh, wow.
And I don't mind that he liked to sway for different women from time to I didn't mind it. That don't bother me that the man want to do that.
Of course, Joe. Of course. Exactly something that my father would say.
Joe, I'm back. Sorry about that.
Are you there? That's okay. That's all right. Well, we got you on audio. We don't have you on video, but let's keep going anyways.
Yes, absolutely.
Right, JoJo?
Yeah,
we'll keep going?
Can I finish what I was getting into? So
yes, absolutely.
Well, that's Benjamin Franklin. The reason I chose him is because I'd read his autobiography when I was younger, and through a sales career, I had my salespeople identify 13 things they wanted to improve about their job, about their life, etc. And every week they would focus on one thing and do that over and over and over. I've done it myself throughout my life. But here's the deal. What I was trying to teach is competency as a leader. What do leaders need? They need competency. People complain about our government. They complain about the companies that are out there. There's so many things going on that are wrong because we don't have competency in our leadership. And here's the deal. Gallup did a survey and found out that over 80% of employees feel like the people they work for are not competent. They're not good leaders. They don't inspire. They don't motivate. And so they're leaving they're not just leaving their jobs when they had this big resignation. They were leaving their leaders. So it's important to understand what that's all about. Since 2020, I've been surveying leaders. You'll notice on my first book, I had 12 leaders, 6 men, 6 women. The second book, I had 2 women, 2 men. And I've been asking them questions about leadership. What does it take to get to the height of your career? And they all say, well, you have to have discipline. You have to have integrity. And I said, what do you call those? Well, you call those competencies. So rather than having virtues like Benjamin Franklin, and by the way, some of these competencies can also be virtues, like integrity. That can be a virtue. Humility can be a virtue. And it can also be something important for leaders. So I did a survey to over 1,000 business leaders worldwide and asked them to rank the top competencies they think a leader should have. I came up with a list of 50 plus. I narrowed it down to 13. And so when you read my book, you can say, okay, if I'm going to have a perpetual system to master my leadership, then I need to have 13 of these guys. And then in the book, it gives you a worksheet so you can develop this. If you don't like the ones that are ranked the highest, the top 13, top 50, you can have something that you think is important as well. It's just for your own self-development. So that's really the story. That's how I got started. That's how I chose Benjamin Franklin. It's why it's so pertinent to the book, because any leader that wants to master and become very, very good at what they do has to practice something on a regular basis, and this system works perfectly for that.
Gary, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back. And Gary, also, I want you to drop and then try and come back on again so we can get you audio. We're talking with Gary Laney. He is the author of Become a Super Leader. What an exceptional conversation we're having. You are listening to WSIC, where your business matters. We'll be right back. So let's drop Gary, see if we can't get Gary to come back again and get the video. This happens every time I have a guest that I really want to talk with. I mean, Senator Tom Tillis, we get him here on the air, big deal, And
then something happens.
I've hung up on Tom Tillis 3 times.
We've got 2 minutes of break. I got the link reopened for him.
Okay.
So hopefully are still good.
Let me tell you what you need to. There we go. We got your back. Can you hear us okay?
Yep.
Okay. So, JoJo, in the future, what you need to do is tell the guests to have a separate audio than the computer audio, because that they will be able to hear better and we'll be able to hear them better as well. Because the same thing's happening for us, Gary, that your audio could be clearer. You know, they make an audio you just plug into the computer and pop it in your ear. It's much more clearer.
Well, and I don't have a microphone like you have, which I need to get.
Well, I'm sure they got microphones like that if you want them. Yeah.
I like it, yeah.
Okay. Anyways, I tell you that before our first week in May, so just give you time to get your time to get an audio video.
I'll be ready.
1 minute. Okay. Julie has reminded me that we hang up on Tom Tillis quite often. If there's somebody I really want to talk with, we'll hang up on them. It's like a curse of the show. I'm sorry, Gary. It's just what we do, you know.
Hey, you guys are pros. You're pros.
JoJo can tell I'm excited talking with you, and he gonna hang up on you. That's just what happens.
Oh.
30 seconds.
Okay. 30 seconds. That's a lifetime.
30 seconds.
And seconds.
I'm not going to have any music?
Yeah, you will.
Okay. You are listening to the #1 live talk business show in North Carolina, coming to you from WSIC, where your business matters. We hope to inspire, inform, and entertain you, because that's what we do here at News Talk WSIC. 105.9 FM, 100.7 FM, 1400 AM. I am Joe Vagnone. This is Local Biz Now. We're also live on the tubes, live on the X, live on the chain. What else are we live on? Live on the book.
On the book.
And for those of you that don't know Joe's Talk, that is Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and something else JoJo got us on, the book. Facebook as well.
The book.
And if you want to ask a question of Gary, who is our author today, everybody can tell I'm pretty excited about talking with him. He has written the book, Become a Super Leader. You can go to WSIC Facebook and ask a question, and we'll do our best to try and get you on the air as well. So, Gary, we were talking before the break when JoJo rudely interrupted us and broke us up. And you keep talking about competencies. So now I'm halfway into the book, okay? And you've got these breakdowns of these different competencies. And I ran into one, which is you can have high competency and low character. And then you defined it as somebody like a Bernie Madoff, right? Very smart, intelligent guy, but you know, obviously didn't care too much for people. But so here's my question to you. Can we know that we have low character? In other words, I've never met anybody, Gary, that says to me, you know, my character's not that good. You know, walk me through that, because if we got to be honest with ourselves, let's face it, Gary, I'm pretty sure from time to time I might have said or done something that is not something I'm proud of, right? And that means I have to define myself, and this is where I have to ask myself, what is my character like before I can become this good leader? Am I interpreting this correctly?
No, I think that's exactly what Benjamin Franklin was after. He spent a lifetime trying to perfect his character, but he never did it. But he felt like he had accomplished a lot in a lifetime. And of course, he was famous. He was a polymath. He could do so many things. He was famous for the competencies that he had acquired. But you mentioned Bernie Madoff. I mean, he was highly competent in financial circles, but he had very low character because he had low ethics. And he did things to rip people off, and really ruined his reputation. Really, and he went to jail.
So
Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein's another example. Very successful, you know, in the financial industry, but then of course his ethics and his morals, you know, degraded his character. So yeah, you can have both at the same time. You can be educated, you can be experienced, you can have expertise. But if you have low moral values, if you have low ethics, if you don't care about people, you know, you're still not going to succeed. You're going to probably, you know, die a very, very sorry person.
No, that's fine. So when we talk about influential leadership, you bring up relationships, and you say, I don't think that the benefit is always monetary. And you go into great detail to talk about the fact that we as leaders should be communicating and offering and sharing something that's other than, say, a bonus, right? Talk through that just a little bit.
Yeah, I was on another podcast, and the person asked me, well, how can you do all this without help? And I said, well, you can't. First of all, the second part of that survival mindset means I have to do this with people. I can't do all this by myself. And so how do you get someone to trust you? Let's say you have very little influence and you want to gain access to someone with a lot of influence. How do you get them to trust you? Well, you don't set up an appointment. Let's say somebody introduces you and the person actually with high influence agrees to meet with you or shake your hand or do something, meet you. But your idea was, oh man, if I could have access to that person, I could probably learn so much. I could get access to more influence. The last thing you want to do when you're trying to get a reputation, when you're trying to develop your influence, when you're trying to develop relationships, is to go in with a greedy attitude. So the first thing you should do is go in with some idea of how to help a person. So if I get access to whomever, you know, Elon Musk, whomever who has a magnitude of influence around the world, I wouldn't go in there asking him for help. I would not go in there asking him to do me favors. I would not go in there asking him to introduce me to people. I would come up with something that was beneficial to him or her and say, I can do this for you. Are you interested?
Right.
No expectations. I'm not looking for reciprocal anything. I just want to help. So give first, and then at some point, people are going to be asking you what they can do for you. That's kind of the formula.
So the next influential thing that you describe is having a growth mindset to focus on success. And you have one of my favorite quotes of all time. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight on the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender. Obviously, that's Winston Churchill. So here's my question. When a guy like Winston Churchill has this growth mindset, is it intentional or is it just embedded in who they are?
So yeah, it's a really good question. Do people have the innate passion, growth mindset? And I'd say some people have more than others, but I don't think anybody has it all. So imagine if you were trying to compare somebody like Tiger Woods with somebody who's just trying to get into golf. And so the question is, was Tiger Woods a prodigy? Was he blessed, born innate abilities to be able to become a great golfer? And people will tell you, yes, he was a prodigy from the very young age of 5, 6 years old. This guy was golfing better than most adults. And when he was 9 or 10, he won national championships, with youth that were older than him. However, you look at other people that like Beethoven. I'll just ask you the question: do you think Beethoven was a prodigy?
Yeah.
Beethoven was not a prodigy. Most people would say yes. Mozart was. Beethoven was not. Beethoven as a young person, that's usually where they start measuring prodigy capability. He had a father that pushed him and drove him, to become a good musician, then a composer. And he wanted him to get tutored by Mozart. Mozart did not accept that invitation. But over a lifetime, and then you know that Beethoven lost his hearing. I don't know how he would compose and do all these things without being able to hear, but he did. And so with passion's a very important ingredient. With hard work, with relentless behavior and habit, he became one of the greatest composers of all time because he had the determination to do it and didn't stop. So I think, that's why I say leaders are made, not born. That's why Vince Lombardi said leaders are not made, leaders are not born, they're made. I just flipped it around because it's really true.
Okay, so now let me go to the next thing. You write, no one really wants to grow from pain, but if you're going to go through it, we might as well come out the other side a better person. And I love the statement because we've all been through it, right? And you're saying, let's take this opportunity of pain and create purpose out of that. And talk a little bit about that, because that's not easy, right? We don't want to hear that. And you describe that in great detail in your book.
Well, so the examples I like to talk about are Olympic athletes. The Olympic athletes, to become an Olympic athlete to begin with, and to then get on the podium to have a medal, it is not easy. It takes sometimes 10, 15, 20 years to be able to get to that state where you're capable, you're competitive enough, but it took a lot of pain to get there. The growth that those people have to go through means they have to sacrifice almost everything else in their life. I was in 3 sports in college, and I didn't go to the Olympics, but I certainly understood the pain and the effort and what was required, because they used to ask us in high school, you go out and you work out for an hour or two. In college, they'd up the ante. They would ask you to go out and work out for 6 hours. You still had to do homework. You still had to do everything else. You might even have to have a part-time job unless you have a scholarship. But it is a level of commitment that is required up front. Otherwise, it's not going to pay off the way you want it to.
So Gary, so Gary, we don't have much time, and I got to get to my last question here, okay, which is intuition. And you describe it in great detail, and you call intuition a competitive superpower. But then you go on to describe the fact that this knowledge and vision into the future requires an opened mindset. So, and I've never heard it described that way. So walk me through your interpretation of intuition and how that relates to a leader, because I've always seen that as sort of a superpower for leaders. And just so you know, we've only got a minute left.
Well, intuition is something it doesn't just happen automatically, I don't think. But I think you can work at it where you work through problems and solve problems, and you have experience, and people then get a sense of what can be done when something happens. So intuition is you having an idea that might solve a problem, that might get you somewhere faster than if you didn't have it in the first place. And I think it takes experience, hard work, education, and experience with lots of situations, repetitive situations, so you can get to the point where you know for yourself that you could solve a problem, even if you've never had that problem before.
Gary, thank you so much. We're talking with Gary Laney. He is the author of Become a Super Leader, the 4 essential anchors for mastering influential leadership. My friend, thank you so much for being on the show. We really do appreciate it, and I can't wait to dig in. As you can tell, I got plenty of more bookmarks to go over your book with, my friend. Thank you so much.
Well, you're so kind. Too kind, brother. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm here with Solonia Wade-Baskins, and you are listening to Local Biz Now, where your business matters. We'll see you next week.